Today we want to talk about something producers talk about a lot, which is the size of the cows and how it impacts the overall herd. We're joined by Dave Lalman, our extension beef cattle specialist. And Dave, what kind of advice do you give producers? You have this conversation pretty often.
We do, and it is a very interesting topic to producers because, like you mentioned, everybody has smaller cows compared to the herd average, and everybody has larger cows compared to the herd average. I'd say the point that I would make is that, there's a difference between moving your herd average, smaller or larger, compared to evaluating individual cows based on their efficiency and cow size. Very different topics because, on average, we think it's a good idea to have moderate cow size that match your forage resources. Extremely large cows don't match our forage resources here in this part of the world very well. Extremely small cows we think are probably not very efficient when you go to the finishing phase, carcass weights, so on and so forth. So somewhere in the middle is probably a good compromise.
You have pulled a couple of examples for us, one a little bit larger, one a little bit smaller. What's the ideal?
Well, somewhere in between maybe, although if we're talking about the herd idea, the entire herd, I would rather have 100 cows of the more moderate sized cow here. She has about a mature size of about 1,150 pounds when she's in moderate body condition, meaning body condition score 5, which Dr. Selk has talked a lot about. The 230 cow now she's an old cow. She's a very efficient producer. She's been around, this is her 14th year in this herd, but on average her body weight's around 14 to 1430 in a body condition score 5. So she's definitely a larger cow. But the point I wanted to make, Lyndall, is that the 230 cow is extremely efficient. She's big, but she's very efficient. The smaller cow here is an 8-year-old, but she's very efficient too. She's still here because she's really good. Okay, now there are gonna be very efficient small cows. In everybody's herd, there's gonna be very efficient individual large cows. But we just wanna encourage producers to think about, the individual versus the herd average. And we don't think it's a very efficient thing to push the average herd size to extremes, whether that's on the small or the large end. Just an example, we've got several ranches contributed data that show that for every additional 100 pound of cow weight, we get on average about an additional 6 pounds of calf weaning weight. Okay, so you have to keep the extra 100 pounds of cow mature weight around all year long to get 6 pounds of additional calf weaning weight. It's just not a lot of return. It's not very exciting. And Dr. Doy says that the extra 100 pounds of cow weight costs you somewhere between $40 and $50 a year to maintain. So you're not going to get $40 or $50 out of 6 pounds of calf weaning weight. So that's why we think it's a good idea, if you're moving the herd average, maybe to move it or keep it to moderate.
Okay, some great advice, some great herd management things to think about. Dave Lalman, thank you very much.